So, the new event-exclusive weapon, Dialogues of the Desert Sages, has been available for some time now, and I gotta say, this is probably the most underwhelming reward I have witnessed in my entire time with Genshin. I mean, just look at this new weapons and another older weapons picture. Can you tell the difference?
They're the same picture.
And sure, there are some differences here and there, but in this video, I want to talk about why I think this weapon sets a pretty bad example for the game, and to be totally fair about this, I will showcase it with characters that can utilize it, just to prove my point. But before the roasting commences, this video is sponsored by Tower of Fantasy, a free-to-play, shared open-world MMORPG available both on PC and mobile. Team up to fight bosses, explore a massive world, and obtain the coolest vehicles and relics. And currently, in version 3.7, the hottest collab with Evangelion just got updated. You can now play as the new character Rei, who looks so cool, even Shinji is finally considering to get into that damn robot. But what's even better, you can also unlock Rei's alternate skin called Future Echo, although make sure to do it fast because it's only available from March 28th to April 3rd. On top of that, you can also dive into the new exciting simulacrum missions, join the fight against the angels by teaming up with the legendary Ava weapons, and have fun, because to me, this looks pretty epic. Also, this is the best time to return to the game because there's tons of free event rewards you can claim, and for a limited time, you can even obtain 14 of the older featured characters you might have missed out on. So make sure to download Tower of Fantasy by using my link in the description, claim tons of event rewards, and help support my channel. Okay, so let's talk about this whole situation of copying homework from Rightful Reward. So this is a Fontaine craftable polearm, and basically it provides decent amount of HP substat, and on top of that, anytime the user gets healed, they can restore 16 energy every 10 seconds. Now back to Dialogues of Desert Sages, or I'm just gonna call it Dialogues from now on. Well, it also provides the same 16 energy from its passive, except this time, you only recover the energy if the wielder of this weapon performs healing. Of course, there are also some minor differences, like Dialogues has lower base attack, but higher HP substat compared to Rightful Reward. But in a nutshell, they both look and feel very similar. So, why would you want to use Dialogues over the craftable weapon? Well, the first answer is laziness and lack of resources. You might not have enough billets to craft R5 Rightful Reward, or you're just not in the mood to farm those Condescence crystals. And sure, it's also cheaper to level up the event weapon, since you get XP bonus while the event lasts. But with the logistics out of the way, what other advantages does Dialogues offer? Well, this weapon is clearly designed for healers, and I don't think any polearm healers care that much about having high base attack, so gaining almost 14% HP with this weapon compared to Rightful Reward is nice. I'll admit it, it's like scoring almost 3 HP percent substat rolls on your artifacts. And also, you might not receive healing as a healer, which sounds pretty funny if you think about it. For example, Chevra's heal coming from the skill is delayed when she first activates it, so the fact that she doesn't need to linger around to receive healing can be nice, and those precious seconds in the rotation can be utilized with the next character you swap to, since that energy passive can be still obtained while off-field. So sure, Dialogues polearm is a lot more specialized than Rightful Reward, and in this case, it kinda power creeps that craftable weapon. Now, I know that generally speaking, event weapons for the most part are mediocre. Sure, there are some exceptions like Cinnabar Spindle, Oathsworn Eye, and few more, but we're trained at this point to expect free rewards to be a stinking pile of suspicious dish. You could even argue that this weapon has some great use cases, because there are a few characters who are interested in using it, hence why I foreshadowed Chevra's there with Energy Example. And, well, let's actually take a look at it, shall we? Now, remember, because the user of Dialogues must perform healing in order to gain energy from the passive, this severely narrows down the list to 5 suspects. I know some of them are looking a bit suspicious right now, but give me a moment. Okay, so starting with Chevra's, I'll be honest, I think this weapon was basically made for her because the situation after this is only going downhill. Basically, as I said before, since Chevra's skill has delayed healing, usually if you do her skill followed by burst and then immediately switch out, if she was using Rightful Reward, she wouldn't be able to gain that 16 energy, because the initial heal that comes from her skill has a pretty long delay. Although, this can be somehow overcome with her C6, which then provides team-wide healing and triggers Rightful Reward. So yeah, not only is it very easy to trigger energy gain from Dialogues polearm, but it also provides higher HP substat, which means it's going to be easier to reach that 40,000 HP cap, so she can provide that sweet 40% attack boost. Now, another contender for this polearm would be Yao Yao. Both her skill and burst scale off HP when it comes to healing, and even her second passive can benefit from higher HP. But the thing about this tiny maniac who loves to run around enemies and provide powerful healing would be that she doesn't really care that much about HP or energy. Well, okay, let me rephrase that. She does care about it, but she's also an extremely versatile unit who can be utilized in different team comps. You see, in quickened teams, you don't really need to trigger Yao Yao's burst every rotation, so usually you want her to use Favonia's Lance, since it will provide energy for the whole team, whereas Dialogues only provides energy for her. But if you did care about those benefits, then it's very likely you already crafted either Rightful Reward or Catane Crossspear. In fact, I would say where this weapon shines the most would be a Nilo Bloom team, since usually Yao Yao will be the only healer, and triggering her burst every rotation will be crucial if you want to keep the team alive. So sure, this weapon works fine here. But even then, this weapon is a boring upgrade at most, and if you want that small HP substat upgrade, you will still need to spend quite a lot of resin to level it up. Because unlike Chevreuse, Yao Yao's healing from the burst is team-wide, so she can easily trigger Rightful Reward's passive. So if you already have it, all you're looking at would be that extra 14% HP from the secondary stat. Now, moving over, Mika, the forgotten Chocobo boy, is here to claim his fame to the top of the meta thanks to this weapon. Nah, I'm kidding. Mika honestly did get a bit of traction thanks to Furina's comps, but with this weapon, I don't know. I mean, it works fine, but he already offers so little for non-physical teams. Fixing his energy issues isn't that super relevant, and it's much better to just use Favonia's Lance to help restore energy for the whole team. I guess he does sometimes struggle maxing out fanfare points in Furina teams, because his healing can suffer when playing with Energy Sense and Critical Rate Circlet to trigger his Favonia's Lance more consistently, but then again, you are giving up the energy for the team if you use Dialogues. Now, moving aside from healers, what about DPS units? For example, Hu Tao, she can utilize this Polearm. I've tested it. After you use her burst, she immediately heals herself and gains the energy. Nice. And because the weapon provides HP's secondary stat, it's a lot more forgiving to go for Elemental Mastery Sands. But the thing is, Hu Tao doesn't really care about bursting every rotation. Usually it's fine to do it once every 2 rotations, and there are so many better polearm options for her. The Dialogues polearm is basically just a meme weapon that looks nice on the Funeral Director. In fact, there's already an event-exclusive weapon that's considered to be her best-in-slot non-gacha weapon, and it's Missive Wind Spear. You see, that's what I'm talking about when looking at limited weapons that actually feel nice to obtain, instead of being a glorified 14% HP upgrade over something that already exists. Finally, and I know you've been wondering about this, why Zhongli? Well, the correct question would be, why C6 Zhongli? That's right, Geodaddy can also heal, and for a low price of $1,000 plus, or many primos, you too can equip this event weapon on him, and allow him to regain almost half his energy needed to spam those boulders. Oh right, you don't really need to use his burst that often, and he doesn't really have any energy issues. Look, the reality is, I don't care about this weapon that much, and I just wanted to have some fun with this video. I mean, it is an upgrade for Chevreuse, and it's also kinda decent for Yao Yao and Mika, but I think that overall, this weapon just feels extremely uninspired, and it's a shame because it looks so good, and also makes me feel bad for those who already crafted Rightful Reward. I believe that each weapon should exist as some kind of option, instead of being a complete downgrade compared to a very similar weapon that already exists, because that's what exactly is happening here. A craftable weapon essentially got power crap. Unless, and bear with me, Rightful Reward is good for like a damage dealer who scales with HP and struggles with energy and cannot do healing themselves. And in this current list of polearm users, none of them care about this very specific condition. I mean, who knows, maybe in the future this will change, but for now, I just hope this won't become a trend. And I know, if good limited weapons are created, then those who miss out on feel bad about it. So it's kinda like damned if you will, damned if you don't situation. But from my perspective, just don't make weapons that function almost identically compared to an older one. Anyway, weird video, I know. But I hope you found it entertaining, and as always, I would appreciate if you could press the like button and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.